Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to Niger Delta Today. My name is Xavier Robert. Today on the program, of course, we would be looking at activities and happenings within the Niger Delta region as usual, talking power in the region. In April 2024, the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission approved over a 200% tariff hike for electricity customers. And ever since then, it has been from one conversation to the other regarding what the power sector should be for Nigerians in general and Niger Deltans specifically. Today we turn the spotlight on a burning concern across our communities, the issue of electricity tariffs and the rising cost of power for Niger Deltans. The tariff hikes, erratic supply, the general dearth in the system, which is believed to be leaving much to be desired. What is the real cost of staying connected in this region, and can the fortunes be better? It's a loaded 1 hour. I'll be doing this with my co-host, Jennifer Pice. Jennifer, good afternoon to you.
Happy New Week. Yeah, Happy New Week. And we're winding down to the end of the month.
That excites you, doesn't it? It excites me too.
It excites you, exactly.
So I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to sit here and lie.
No, that's okay. Well, there's a lot to talk about. And we'll begin with a story of interest where the Edo State government has opposed any move to create a new state out of the present Edo State. This position was made known during a public hearing on the 1999 Constitution Amendment organized by the House of Representatives, which included proposals to increase Nigeria's state to 100. Representing the governor, the State Attorney General, Dr. Samson Osage, said Edo is comfortable with its current structure. Meanwhile, at the hearing held in Yenogwa, representatives from Delta State called for resource control, arguing that states should pay taxes to the federal government to promote peace and fairness. Bayelsa State government also demanded an increase in its local government areas from 8 to 33. Let's take a listen.
We come here with our own ideas to sell. We will do that when we get to the floor, where we submit the report of this committee. Every document submitted to this committee will be very carefully reviewed, considered and presented to the full committee in Abuja before it goes to the floor of the House. There are no-go areas to the best of my knowledge.
It is therefore both a great honor and a deep privilege that I extend an heartfelt welcome to my distinguished colleagues. We must unite as a South-South with a common position and continue to push until the other parts of Nigeria will hear us and do the needful and run a proper fiscal federalism in Nigeria. Resource control and fiscal federalism. As a major oil producing state and a vital contributor to national economy, Delta State strongly advocates for a true fiscal federalism. We therefore call for an upward review of the derivation formula to ensure that a greater share of the revenue generated from our land and waters is retained for local development. This should also equally.
It is in alliance with all states in the Federation and the federal government to ensure a viable system of local government administration that provide basic services for the people of the state at this grassroots. State creation. Edo State will not support the creation of a state out of the present Edo State by carving out any part of the state with some part of other states.
Still, on that discussion, I believe we've heard so much about the state creation. So many people have their own angle to the story. Some want state creation, some want more local government areas. But the major focus is on the issue of marginalization. I think that's what's sparking the conversation on state creation. People want to own their resources. People want to control their resources and also channel it into the different areas they assume would bring about development in the areas which they feel marginalized about. I think that's where the whole problem is.
Indeed, and the case of Edo State actually strikes a chord. I mean, while other states in the Niger Delta region, some groups are calling for state creation, Edo State is coming out to emphatically and categorically say that it is not interested in dividing any part of the state. And I think it speaks to the foundation that there are some states who rather would want to consolidate the gains of democracy and see how they can expand whatever it is they are doing in the state and create some sort of united front. But then in other states where those calls are found, like in Akwa Ibom state here where we're talking about the Obolo state creation, you see that when you look at the foundation, the people might be feeling that they are cut off from what's happening in Akwa Ibom state generally. And when they talk about their ancestral bringings and the issues that they are not really being carried along, you begin to see that calls of this nature would be at the forefront. And I don't know, but when the call is not a selfish one, I think it should be given some ear. But if it's coming from a place where you're not interested in what happens in the generality, to the generality of Akwa Ibomites, you're just concerned about controlling resource, and you don't want to consolidate or talk about the conversation about how you can carry all facets of society together, it becomes an issue where it's not holistic.
Yeah, but in the aspect of the governor talking about this Edo state not wanting a state created from it, what about the people? Because no matter how we might want to look at it and call it, this is about
eventually
the
have to
structure,
listen to what the people have to say regarding it.
What about the people exactly? What are their concerns with regards to state creation? Especially, there might be some minorities, in fact, minority of the minorities, who might desire for such. But when we look at the possibility of creating a state, it goes through a rigorous process.
Especially in a democratic dispensation like ours.
And I'm wondering if it is even possible for these people to get the state they're looking for. It's almost an impossible situation because we are looking at fulfilling the processes involved, getting to get approval, 2/3 of the approval from the state houses of assembly, and then 2/3 of the representatives in the National Assembly. These are already marginalized people, and I doubt the possibility of having all those approvals, and with the state governor not even talking about creating one, I think I'm not even sure they have that.
I think the conversation should be more of how to consolidate what we already have on ground. I mean, creating fragmented states and local government areas doesn't really solve the problem that we are having in the country. The problem is about growth, about development, about being able to ensure that every member of any society is catered for and they have the basic amenities that they need to be able to thrive in whatever business they choose to involve themselves in. The conversation
and I even think that if we're looking at 100 states, we are already complaining about the cost of governance. 100 states amount to,
have on ground,
yeah, 100 states amount to 100 governors, and we'll be looking at more than 500 state lawmakers, so many. So if we're complaining about the cost of governance, then wait till it gets to 100 states. Then, well, of course, that would be a huge outcry.
I'm sure that a lot of stakeholders would be weighing the pros and cons and seeing how to make sense of all of these calls within the region and by extension Nigeria. And it is hoped that whatever decisions would be arrived at in the different clamors for state creation would be the one that would reflect the true nature of a country that truly wants to reach its developmental strides and blueprints. Let's bring you Niger Delta updates for today. First, the Niger Delta update today. The Cross River State Police Command has deployed a tactical team to Ecom Local Council following a deadly clash between rival court groups. According to the police reports, an anonymous source revealed that 2 persons were killed in separate attacks on July 12 and July 16 in Okuni and Akam communities, with another victim in critical condition. The police spokesperson SP Irene Ubo Aubaze says Commissioner of Police Rashid February ordered the deployment to prevent further violence, adding that the situation has been stabilized and investigations are ongoing to bring the perpetrators to justice.
Still on Niger Delta updates, the Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Dr. Samuel Obuku, says President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda is more than just a slogan, calling it a social contract with the people of the region. Obuku made this known while hosting a delegation from the Isoko ethnic nationality at the NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt. He said the Commission is committed to translating visions into actions and is reviewing several projects in Isoko land, including an electrification project and the Uzare-Patani Road. He further stressed the need for unity across ethnic groups to tackle shared development challenges, adding that NDDC remains committed to transparency, equity, and regional transformation.
A sharper development. The flag officer commanding Eastern Naval Command, Rear Admiral Kennedy Ezete, has called for continued synergy between the Navy and the 6th Division Nigerian Army to address security challenges in the Niger Delta, especially in maritime areas. He made the call during a courtesy visit to the General Officer commanding 6th Division, Major General Eric Emeka, at the division's headquarters in Port Harcourt. Rear Admiral Ezete, who recently assumed office, said strengthening interagency cooperation will help safeguard waterways and curb criminal activities. In his response, Major General Emeka described the collaboration as vital for the protection of lives and critical national assets in the region. And lastly, Niger Delta updates. The Nigerian Army has revealed that 62 suspected oil thieves have been arrested and over 350,000 liters of stolen petroleum products seized in a 4-day operation across 4 states in the Niger Delta region. The 4-day joint operations with other security agencies also led to the destruction of 14 illegal refining sites and the confiscation of 5 boats. The Army listed Rivers, Bayelsa, Delta, and Akwa Ibom states as operational zones with major seizures recorded in Rivers states, Ohada West and Onega areas. Acting spokesman of the 6th Division, Lieutenant Colonel Jonah Danjuma, said items recovered included crude oil, ovens, generators, hoses, boats, and a Sienna vehicle filled with stolen automotive gas oil. They have the Niger Delta update for today. We'll take a breather, and when we return, the focus of the day will have us talking about the power sector, especially as it affects the Niger Delta region. So stay tuned.
Now here's some exciting news. ADBN is everywhere you are. Stay connected with us across all our social media and streaming platforms for exclusive news updates, captivating stories, and more. Join the ADBN community today via our various platforms on Avo TV app, ADBN channel 121, Niger TV app, ADBN TV, Limex World TV app, ADBN TV. Get the latest news straight to your phone. Join our WhatsApp channel. Just search for ADBN TV and hit the follow button. Turn on your notification to stay updated and never miss any part of the experience. Stay in the conversation with us across our social media handles on X at ADBN_TV, Instagram at ADBN_TV, Facebook, ADBN TV, YouTube, ADBN TV_NG, and keep visiting our website on www.adbntv.com. Watch us live anytime, anywhere. ADBN TV, a part of you.
The overall function of the Parliament is adequate representation of their constituents in state echoes of federation.
Removal of fuel subsidy, resources to critical sectors such as education and health. A call to unity and progress of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
NAS Unplugged is a program that will highlight topical issues from both chambers of the National Assembly, from bills, motions, and constituency projects.
Nice of it.
Catch the program on ADBN TV, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays as we bring you activities of the National Assembly as it affects the people.
During the flood disaster in Maiduguri and its environs.
For increase in the number of judges in the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
Nice of it.
NAS Unplugged, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m.
Thanks for staying tuned. In today's episode of Niger Delta Today, we turn our focus to a critical issue affecting homes and businesses across the region. We'll be looking at electricity pricing. Recently, the federal government announced a significant 35% cut in electricity subsidies, with high-use consumers now paying cost-reflective tariffs. And this move, aimed at reducing the subsidy shortfall and improving sector efficiency, is already generating conversations nationwide. And while tariff structures for Band B and C consumers, which include many households and small businesses in the Niger Delta, are being reviewed, amidst these changes, questions are being raised. How will the new pricing model affect electricity availability and affordability in the Niger Delta region? And will it drive investment and improve service delivery? What measures are in place to protect vulnerable communities already burdened by erratic supply and estimated billing? Well, to help us have a grasp of these issues and more, we are being joined virtually by Chief Energizing Officer, Being-Cost Integrated Solution Limited, a key player in electricity reforms and national grid improvement efforts. The person of Engineer Muideen Oladapo, he joins us virtually. You're welcome on the program. Thanks for joining us in Niger Delta today.
Good afternoon, Engineer, and welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. And we'll begin with looking at understanding the rationale behind the subsidy cuts by the federal government. And we've seen that over the years, we've always had to talk about subsidy in the electricity angle in the power sector. But with this cut, what do you think could have been the rationale behind the cuts in the subsidy?
Okay, thank you very much. So let me start by laying the foundation of how the tariff is being achieved in the first place. So the commission that is having the responsibility of this tariff is called the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, which is the NEC. It's saddled with the responsibility of fixing the tariff of electricity in Nigeria. And various factors that contribute to this calculation, which are the generation cost, the transmission cost, the distribution cost, and other industrial charges that is also put together to form the cost. So if we look at it, the other variables, there are also other microeconomic variables that determine what this tariff is going to be, especially we're talking about the exchange rate, the inflation, and the like. So those are the things that are put together to do the tariff calculation. And there's a particular order that they follow, which is what we call MITO, a multi-year tariff order. And this is done in two sections. We have the minor tariff calculation, which is done semi-annually, and we also have the major, which is also done biannually or once in the year. So going back to the impact on how this will affect people in Niger Delta. So if you look at it, government has been trying to see how we can improve the electricity across the country. And they are also burdened with the responsibility of paying subsidies on the electricity. And that's why they came about this tariff classification. And also, you look at it, like you rightly said, 35% reduction in subsidy. And that's what they are paying before this classification come on board. It's about 3 trillion naira. And once we go on the route of this classification, it's gone down to about 1.9 trillion as subsidy. So the bulk of these reductions, and also to improve the electricity supply into all businesses, they have to do that classification. And we have class A, class B, C, D, and E. So for class A, we have a supply between 20 to 24 hours in a day. And that is where the tariff system comes in terms of the increment in tariff that is gone from 66 naira to 225 naira initially, and after going back and forth, it was further reduced to 209 naira 50 kobo per kilowatt hour. So the other tariff also still remains. The class B and the A, it still remains at 58 naira, while we have maybe class D or class E, which are non-MD at 31 naira as it is. So, for how does it impact people in Niger Delta? One, especially for those that are on the band receiving 20 to 24 hours supply of electricity. This will stimulate a new batch of SMEs. Those that have been planning, having a lot of plans to see how they want to set up a cottage industry. This will help them in a long way. And for those that have been running business in the past, it will also improve their profitability because, one, they have supplies adequately and they can calculate and also plan their schedule in terms of what they wanted to produce, and they can plan.
Engineer Ola?
Without. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'd like to understand, because we were talking about tariff still, or subsidies still being paid for the other bands. The question has to do with how come they still have to pay more for estimated bills. I'll take, for instance, at least the band A's who are metered most times. They understand how much of electricity they're using, and that is based on the payment they make. But for those on estimated billing, a number of times, so many of them cannot have access to meters. And so most times they're on estimated bills. And if the subsidy is still being paid for them, how come it is outrageously high for those on estimated bills? And it doesn't really change their plight from those whom subsidies have been removed, the band A's. What is the situation, or what's the problem?
Okay, so let me speak to that. So the reason, let me just first, the subsidies still apply to them, but the reason why they are being paid, heavily billed, is because, one, because they don't have meters. So the measurement of what they are using is not clear and not easily calculated. So what this code, most time, what they do is this. For that area, they know the number of electricity supplies to that area. For instance, let me give you an instance. Let's say we have a community where we have about 150 households, or 150 hours, both houses and businesses in that area, and they are on band B or band C, apart from band A. And let's say majority of them does not have a meter, maybe like 20% are meters. So this is what happens. So since they know the amount of energy they supply to that area, let's assume that they supply 10 10,000 watt-hour of energy to that area. And in the transformer that supply that area, there is an MP meter that is being positioned there. That will take the reading of what is being sent to that community. So this is now how the calculation comes about. Those 20% that are on the state meter, we don't have issues. Whatever they buy is what they consume. So for those that are on estimated billing, the remaining amount that is left to recruit from that community, they will spread it across those that doesn't have meter. So that is how their calculation comes about. So the best bet is, one, to encourage our people to get a prepaid meter, and we also encourage the DISCO that is covering those regions to also make this meter to be accessible to people. And I know that there is a lot of effort that government has put in place in order to say they want to bring in some meters so that DISCO can give people and start paying later, maybe by the way of buying credit, they deduct some certain amount of money to pay that meter. That's how the calculation comes about.
Well, Engineer Oladapo, I'm going to take you a little bit back to the very basics, especially in relation to when people hear tariff review. The first thing that comes to mind is usually tariff hike. The average Niger Deltan would be complaining about, here again, they want to review the electricity cost and would have to pay more even with the erratic power supply, and how we're not even getting value for the monies we pay monthly. Bring us up to speed with some insights to how the electricity industry in Nigeria truly works, especially how it arrives at the costs it pegs on each consumer to pay, especially with the new development now. We're talking about bands. You talk about band A that has access to over 23 hours electricity, and it goes down to the other bands. How does it arrive at the pricing? And can it be better, especially for those ones that are allocated the poor band that don't really have enough access to electricity? Talk about the market woman who has to deal in fish and needs electricity to store her goods and is not having enough, but then she's also not in band A, but she needs a lot of electricity to be able to store her goods. How does she cope? Can you bring us up to speed with some understanding as to how these bands can truly work to benefit the average Niger Deltan?
Okay, thank you very much. So let me start by how they arrive at the tariff. First, like I said earlier, there are some components that comprises that they put together to calculate this tariff. Number one, the cost of generating electricity. That's one. Two, the cost of transmitting the electricity. Three, the cost of distributing the electricity. Then four, the industrial charges, including OPEX, of running all these activities. Those are what they put together to calculate the tariff. That's on one side. On the other side, the amount of electricity generated. As of today, Nigeria is generating about 106,000 megawatt hours of electricity as of today. So, and this is being distributed among the DISCOs all over Nigeria. For instance, I don't know the DISCOs that cover your area there, but let me use Lagos as an example. For Ikeja Electric, as a DISCO, there is an amount of energy that is being wheeled to them. For instance, let's say they wheeled, let's say 10 megawatt hours of electricity to them. And what they wheel to them, they will definitely pay for it because there is no amount of energy that goes to waste from the generation side. And what I mean by waste is that whatever they wheel to you, you pay back. So, and for people to get their money back, number one, they need to target high consuming customers. That's number one. And those are the ones that they classify as band A. And that's why the priority is on them to give them between 20 to 24 hours supply of electricity, because they are high consumers, they are very productive. That's why that is being channeled to them. And they are paying promptly. And if you look at it, in those areas, maybe about 80 to 90% of those customers, they are on prepaid meters, right? So every other thing that is left is what they ration between other classes, especially those that doesn't have enough prepaid meter in their area. They might experience a shortfall in supply of electricity to them. So that is how that is done.
Engineer.
Reason why we have application.
Engineer Oladapo, I'll just give a follow-up question, especially when it has to do with providing meters for the different consumers. Now, you talked about the DISCO that controls the Niger Delta region. We have the Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company, also have the Benin Electricity Distribution Company that takes care of the different states in the Niger Delta region. And now, the question is, who has the sole responsibility for providing meters for the different categories of consumers that we have in the Niger Delta region? And why is there so much challenges when we talk about successful and swift provision of these meters that it's believed would go a long way in regulating the bottlenecks that comes with paying more when you don't have meters?
Okay, so it is the responsibility of the distribution company, which is the DISCO, whether the DISCO or Port Harcourt DISCO, to provide meters at a cost to their customers.
All right, so in this situation, are the consumers supposed to pay for these meters, or they're supposed to be given free? Because there's a clause that talks about them having these meters free of charge, and then have to only bother about paying, for the electricity they consume.
And in fact, the federal government has, over the years, been able to each year supply some meters or pay for some meters for the people. But we barely get to see these meters distributed. And even some consumers, when requesting for meters, it will take months and if not years. That's if you even get to receive the meters. It happens in so many places. We've been interacting with people and we don't seem to understand exactly what the problem is with delivering meters. Won't that serve the DISCOs, or won't that reduce the burden on them, the financial burden on them, if the people actually just pay for what they use?
And then talking about how this would go a long way in cutting the challenges they have with tracking the level of consumption that they've had within their DISCOs, don't you think that would also solve that issue?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a valid question, and I can tell you for a fact that DISCOs also provide meters at the cost because they don't produce the meter, and majority of those meters are produced in Nigeria and overseas. So, for DISCOs to give to customers for free, and probably deducting the money from the credit they get, that is a huge investment, depending on the number of customers they have that is not metered. And based on what federal government did, sometimes probably last year, I'm not sure whether we have the meter supplied to all the DISCOs as we speak. I don't know, I can't confirm that for now. So it's a huge investment on their own part, and I think what we can also do, and if you look at it, there is a lot of things that has gone on the electricity reform in Nigeria. Now, you know that all the states in Nigeria now, they can now generate and distribute electricity. And with this development also, it will be a lot of a competition if a state can generate and distribute, have their own customers, and we have an existing DISCO also that have their own customers. There will be competition. So Anybody that can invest more, we gain more customers, and you can supply them, we make more money, and people will be happy. So it's all about investment. So we implore our discos to make more investment into the distribution of the meters.
Engineer Oladapo, now there's also the aspect of some communities in the Niger Delta being on blackouts for months. Sometimes it runs into years. For instance, there was a community in Cross River State, and it had taken them up to about 5 years before power was restored. And the complaint has always been on transformer. Some communities do not have transformer, or the previous one was faulty, or something was stolen from it. But we see that this, according to the regulations, it is meant to be the bodies supplying transformers to communities. But we've always seen over time where communities make contributions for these transformers, but will still get charged on estimated bills, even for a period of time when there was no power supply in that community. Is there any way, is there a possibility that power or electricity can be sent to a community even while they're not using it, and that will reflect in charging them?
Okay, so let me start with the issue of the transformer. Transformer is meant to be supplied by the discos. Even when there is fault on it, it's meant to be repaired by the discos. So, but the situation we have around it's quite worrisome at times, and that is why we have the regulator, which is the NEC. So there are processes that people need to follow, and we need to reorientate our people that it is not in their capacity to say they want to buy transformer or they want to do contribution to repair. Although at times, because we need this electricity and we are eager to get it back, and that's what brought about people contributing money to say, okay, we've had the money, let's repair it and let's get it working. Yes, that is very brilliant. But at the same time, if we have this issue, we need to follow the appropriate channel by reporting to the NEC, which is the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. They are also domiciled in the Niger Delta region. I think they have branches in all the states across federations that they can report to at the community level, at the state level. They can report to them so that they can take charge of it and also put pressure on the disco that is supplying that region. That's on one side. On the other side, the issue of drilling people when they are not supplying electricity, that shouldn't be. And this also needs to be reported to the NEC, because they are the ones that started the responsibility of taking care of dispute resolutions, on warrant billings, and the like. You can channel their complaints to NEC, and I'm sure they are very efficient, they are very effective to resolve their issues.
All right, well, Engineer Oladapo, I'd like to take you up on this other issue that talks about the capacity that Nigeria currently has when it comes to generation of power, about 14,000 to 13 to 14,000 megawatts between 2024 and 2025. But then, reliably, the size that is generated is about 1/3 of that. And this has been blamed on gas shortages and aging infrastructure. How far-reaching has these issues been in the power sector, and what steps have been taken towards ensuring that it is addressed? Because if we continue to talk about the capacity that Nigeria has to generate, but it is not able to meet up that quota, the people are the ones that are going to suffer the effects. How can this be settled once and for all? And a lot of conversations have been around how the power sector can be overhauled completely, and new energy, new zest invested in it. But so far, it seems as though nothing has really, nothing concrete has really come out of it. How can these issues be addressed effectively?
Okay, thank you very much. So if you look at it, as of today, we are generating about 5,019 megawatt hours of electricity. And that is all we are generating currently as of today. So it is not enough because there are still a lot of places that they were not connected. And government has done a lot of investment. Before this administration, there's a lot of deals that the young government had the feelings to be able to build a lot of substations and also repair our transmission lines and planning to build other transmission lines so that we don't have one transmission line working and also. So another thing that is also ongoing that federal government has put in place is that they look at different communities. For instance, those are in the rural area, those are on water. So there is an agency called the Rural Electrification Agency, which is also serving with the responsibility of making sure that those people in rural area are electrified. And this has been ongoing for more than 2 years now. There are a lot of communities that we also will energize in Niger Delta, especially in Delta State, in Bayelsa, and the like. So this is bringing a succor to our people in the rural area as well, because what system we put in place there is renewable energy. Then we have solar battery system to power this area, and they are enjoying the life. So more of this is still coming on because there is a program that is ongoing by the REA, where we have different developers that are mapping out different communities across Nigeria, especially in Niger Delta, to provide electricity to those people in rural areas so that their standard of living can improve, their activities in terms of business can reduce the rural-urban migration. So these have been done. A lot of sensitization and information, I believe, is not really put out there to really know exactly what is going on in the power sector. We need more advocacy so that our people can see. And if you look at it, before we get to where we are now, in terms of classification, I can tell you there are some areas that are band A that for more than 2 weeks, many of them, they have stable, regular supply of electricity. So things are getting better, but we can do more better and move faster than this. That I can say. Okay,
Engineer, what will it take to ensure that every community or every household has 24-hour supply of electricity? Now, we understand even the band A's that we say would have more electricity, they only consume about 40%. And so the band B's, C's, and even the abandons, forgive me. But what will it really cost us as a country or as a people or as a body to have 24 hours electricity across different communities?
Okay, thank you very much. So it is possible we can have 24 hours electricity. And part of the process that is being put in place now is to decentralize the issue of electricity generation, transmission, and distribution, which all the states, they have the power to do that now. So one, let's look at it. Let's say Akwa Ibom state government is set up a power plant that can generate what Akwa Ibom people need. So with that, they supply everybody in the state, maybe in conjunction with the DISCO that is currently giving supply to that place now. So if each state can go to that part, this our issue of electricity will be resolved. But it comes along with huge investment, and we need a patient fund. And what I mean by patient fund is that electricity business is a long-term business that you need a facility that will extend up to like 10 to 15 years before you can break even and say you want to also make profit. So, but if you look at it today, most of our commercial banks in Nigeria, the facility does not extend beyond 4 years. So, and you want to invest in electricity, that can work for electricity business. So, we need a lot of investment. We need investors to come in and also to guarantee that with their investment, they will pay their money back and will achieve 24-hour supply of electricity.
Well, for some states that have veered into this provision of electricity, for instance, Akwa Ibom State with its Ibom utility, do you think that there are issues that are standing as bottlenecks preventing Niger Delta states from being able to invest in the new Electricity Act, which came into function in 2023? What are those bottlenecks that are preventing states and even private individuals from being able to invest in the power sector so that we can realize this goal of 24 hours for everyone in the country?
Okay, thank you very much. So I don't think there is much bottleneck again, because the first bottleneck that we used to have before is that the electricity is on the exclusive list, which has been removed from exclusive list now to concurrent list, and that's why states can generate electricity. So the only bottleneck that I see now is just, it's not really a bottleneck anyway, it's just how to share infrastructure between the present disposed and the one coming on board. And that can be done with there is a particular provision for it anyway to sort out that issue. So signing a tripartite agreement with the existing disco and the new one coming on board, and the solution is solved. So I think the main challenges now is the investment, the fund to invest into the business. That is the main challenge.
Okay, and Engineer Oladapo, I'm sorry, I still have concerns when it comes to consumer protection and with issues of subsidy. Are there better policies or alternative policies that can be ventured into as well as protect the consumers from multiple increment in tariffs, and also to bring about some level of alleviation like subsidies in the electricity sector?
Okay, so let me just quickly explain this. The reason why we have the deal of tariff is because of the cost component of these electricity. So if you look at it, one, exchange rate, it is one of the issues, and these are microeconomic variables. So one, the exchange rate, if we have a stable, which we are having now, a stable and downward, upward appreciation of Naira, I can tell you for a fact that this tariff will come down. And also, if you look at it, apart from that, we have inflation. As of today, our inflation is about 22.2%. If it can come down further, that also will help and reduce the tariff, including the gas price and the volume of generation that we are generating. Because, it's just a law of demand and supply. When you have a lot of generation, there will be competition, there will be drop in price. Those are the things that make the tariff either go up or come down. So on the issue of subsidy, it is only government that can give subsidy. For instance, if Akwa Ibom State government, their power plant is working and supplying people, they can decide to say, okay, for our citizens, we want to give you a subsidy on the electricity, maybe 20%, maybe 30%. And if you look at it, there is a little bit of subsidy that also has been added in terms of the new tax reform bill that we just passed into law. So the 7.5% VAT that is being added when you recharge, it has been taken care of. It is no more there. So that also is part of the circle. So, and I believe our state governors, they can do more. So that's the I think that can be achieved.
All right, Dr. Oladapo, I just have one more question for you. I don't know if my co-host would come in, but then this particular one, I need you to address it. Now, the Niger Delta contributes a huge percentage of the country's wealth when it comes to energy, but then it still ranks very low when we talk about the power supply. What are those issues that you feel, if they are addressed, this would be solved once and for all? And are there people to be held responsible who are in the business of sabotaging the distribution of power equitably to consumers in the Niger Delta region? How can these issues be resolved?
Okay, so number one, the issue of electricity infrastructure sabotaging is really a criminal offense, and we need to also be on the lookout, and also our security agencies to look out onto those infrastructures so that people will not go there to be vandalizing and stealing some critical part of those infrastructure and sell. That's on one part. On the other end is I'll still go back to the state government, because yes, Niger Delta is a critical factor when it comes to the Nigerian economy. And when you look at the way the whole thing is structured, apart from the allocation they are getting, they have to keep the derivative and all stuff. And I believe, and we also have the NDDC, the Niger Delta Development Commission, that they have a lot of projects they are rolling out. This also, they can include more of electricity in their projects, and also, if this can be achieved, a lot of support will come to our people in Niger Delta. And I want to appeal to our leaders in Niger Delta, they should please look at it, to come to our head on this. So, because this is how this can be reduced in terms of tariffs for our people in Niger Delta.
Okay, as we wind down the conversation, should government in the Niger Delta region begin to consider solar as an alternative?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I was asking if the state government or government in the Niger Delta region, should they begin to consider solar as an alternative?
Oh, yeah, of course. We can consider solar and other renewable energy, not just solar alone. We have all these small hydros that we can also do the wind turbines and the like. So we can consider, especially for those people in the rural area, that the cost of transmitting electricity to those places to be huge, and also in terms of the terrain to get to all those places. Yes, we can invest more on solar, renewable energy in general, to make our people in the rural area to enjoy and enjoy electricity and reduce the rural urban migration. Yes, all right. It's a very initiative.
All right, energy expert, engineer Muideen Oladapo, thank you very much for speaking with us in Niger Delta today. We appreciate your ideas on the program, and we hope that the efforts that need to come into play to bring about the marching to the sucker in the industry would be attended to by the different stakeholders responsible. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, that's the size of Niger Delta today. We must thank you for staying with us. Catch us again tomorrow for another fresh edition. My name is Xavier Robert.
And I am Jennifer Pius. Do have a great day.